Markets. I'm here today with engineer Mike Herzog. How's it going, Mike?
Doing great, David. Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it.
Always appreciate you being here. And I'm going to start today with something that's not, I guess it's more about all kinds of vehicles. This is, let's see here. This is basically the most reliable vehicles. This is a list for 2024 by Consumer Reports.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of interesting because the most reliable vehicle in the world, the Toyota 4Runner, the Toyota Camry Hybrid, they had a rating of 87 out of a possible 100. Camry was an 86. A Rav4 Prime was 84. Is the Prime Rav4? That's a plug-in, isn't it?
I think that's a plug-in
Yeah.
hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah. BMW X5 was a really surprising one to me that BMW made the list of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Subaru Forester, Toyota Rav4. So this was probably the gas Rav4. The
Yep.
RDX, Acura RDX, Toyota Corolla, which is the second best-selling car in the world, and the Toyota Highlander Hybrid. So it's interesting how we got 1, 2, 3 hybrid type vehicles in there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
on the downside, oh, and what was also interesting is in the top 10, we have 7 Toyotas.
7 Toyotas. And
Yes.
I think what's interesting too is historically you'd always thought Toyota and Honda, very, very reliable vehicles. But over the past couple of years, the trend has definitely been Honda's taken a hit in the reliability department.
Well, they do have the
Seeing them
Acura
not
on
have
here.
the Acura in there for the luxury upgrade, but just a good old Honda Accord, a Honda Civic, the CRV, all these different vehicles they've had forever. And this isn't an anomaly for 2024. This has been going on for a couple of years. So just kind of interesting to see that what had always been kind of the hallmark of reliability, Toyota and Honda in a space like that. Honda's taken a bit of a nosedive off of these lists.
Oh, yeah. Well, you consider it. Now, this is for the United States. Okay, this isn't worldwide, but we have no Korean cars. We only have one European car, and the BMW X5 is made in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's and a lot of these vehicles that are on the list, like Camrys, are made in the United States. A very high number of these cars are actually made in the U.S., but they're made in those brands' facilities. But 9 of the 10 are Japanese cars. There's no U.S. brands on there.
No.
Anyways, then we go down to the least reliable vehicles. This is kind of tragic. Jeep Wrangler is the worst. Jeep Grand Cherokee, Volkswagen Jetta, Nissan Frontier. We see that's kind of surprising there to see one of the Japanese brands are Jeep.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just a bad design change, something like that that's catching up to them. I don't know.
Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now the Rivian R1T, the Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid, Ford F-150 hybrid, Volkswagen Taos. I'm not familiar with that vehicle.
I'm not even sure what that is.
Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. Sometimes I wonder if some of these vehicles are California only. So you just never really know. But, you figure we have 1, 2, 3, 4 hybrid or electric vehicles on that list. I would suspect you would have some, because the whole EV space still has growing pains. It's not like a mature technology like ICE engines are that have been out for 100 years. They haven't been around the same length of time. The manufacturers don't have a history with them. It is kind of sad, though, that you got 3 Jeeps on here plus the Chrysler Pacifica. So that 4 from the one brand, Volkswagen, Volvo, Rivian, Nissan, 2 Volkswagens on there. That's not really a great look for some of those.
I'm not too surprised by Volkswagen. It seems like some of their models have a decent track record, but some of them just over the years haven't been there in that space either. I'm a little disappointed to see Rivian on that list, to be honest with you, just because it's gotten such a fanfare and out there, and everybody's waiting. We want to see Rivian come out and more of that, but To see them pop up on a list like that, I don't think it's going to do well for their brand and their brand recognition in some of that
Well,
space.
you think about how they've been putting out vehicles for about 2 years now, if you
Hmm.
include 2024. And so it's not like they have a long history of making automobiles. And Tesla had a lot of issues with um, owner issues that had to get fixed in the first year, kind of thing. And a lot of the issues with Tesla have always had to do with how well the body parts meshed up and things like that. And Tesla was new to manufacturing. And
Hmm.
so you see issues. I did a piece a couple days ago on a Tesla that's been driven 1.2 million miles, and
Holy
the
smokes!
rear motor kept having to be replaced and to be replaced with refurbished ones. And sometimes the refurbished ones didn't last very long at all. And the guy had gone through 9 rear motors. He'd only ever changed one front motor, but 9 rear motors or
Uh-huh.
something like that. It was really crazy, and it was just, but some of the motors didn't last long at all. And Tesla never really figured out what was wrong with them, why they kept doing that. But it was
I got mileage though. I mean, you're gonna have to replace something, even on an EV, even on a Tesla. Like
yeah,
it's
he was
that's
on,
those bushings are gonna wear out.
he'd had 3 battery packs wear out.
Hmm.
Is like about every 350,000 miles, he had to get a new battery pack,
Yeah,
which
but
that's not bad at
think of how
all.
many internal combustion engine vehicles will make 350,000 miles. I mean, that's a heck of a run.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it was interesting because the guy doesn't drive it for work. He just likes driving. But he's taken it to like Africa. And this was a guy in Germany or something like that. And he's driven it all over
Mhm.
Europe and Middle East and Africa and all these other places. And I'm like, wow, that's really driving. And a lot of that's without a whole lot of EV infrastructure.
That's what I was gonna say. That's you really got to map that route out,
Yeah.
not just from the infrastructure, but just general power availability.
Right. Well, he
It's
said he on
yeah.
average stops about every 100 kilometers to recharge, just
Mhm.
to do that, just because I guess because he's never can be sure where the next
Yeah,
place is
yeah.
going to be on a lot of these trips. But he's averaged for the past 9 years like 350 miles a day. That's
How? How? That's
as somebody who
that's
just likes driving his Tesla. And
yes.
his previous car was a Tesla Roadster, and he'd driven it 400,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
go.
one maybe I could get behind. That might be pretty fun to drive.
I'm sure.
That's
But he moved
yeah.
up to a Model S, and part of it was he just needed some more space.
Mhm.
But I thought that was, kind of interesting. But our next topic is this is from Car and Driver. It's on what are the fastest and slowest charging EVs. This is kind of interesting, and because there's different tech in each of the vehicles, but the Genesis GV70 charges the fastest, and the Chevy Bolt EUV is the slowest. This article gets pretty technical. Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia EVs continue to display charging dominance, accounting for the entire top 5 list of fastest charging EVs we've tested. We put 50 EVs through our charging test since we started it in 2021, and only 8 of them have managed to complete 10 to 90% charge in under 30 minutes. Now, some of that too, obviously, there's differences in how power is able to come into the batteries. But one of the things is too, some cars are really starting to have big batteries. Obviously, if you have a small battery, it's a lot easier to um, charge it. Anyways, but the highest average was the Genesis GV70 electrified, and it has a charging rate of 239 kilowatts and an average of 166. So this was the fastest. This was the average,
Mhm.
10 to 90% in 24 minutes. And this
Wow.
isn't bad at 100 miles in 13 minutes. I saw one,
Mhm.
oh, I can't remember which car it was. There's one out there that'll charge 100 miles faster than that, but I can't remember what it is. The highest second average, the Ionic 6. Now, these have been like a California only car.
Mhm.
And
I haven't. Yeah, I don't. You don't see that much around in the Midwest for sure at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, I've seen a few of
Most.
them around Omaha, but they're not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's, probably somebody that moved here and brought it with them.
Hmm.
But and they might sell them here now. But I just remember it used to be originally it was a California only vehicle. 243, 153, that's still pretty fast. 27-minute charge time adds 100
Hmm.
miles in 10 minutes. That's pretty quick. And then let me see, Hyundai Ioniq 5. I don't know if I've seen one of those.
Mm-mm.
Let me see. 13 minutes to add 100 miles, 26 minutes for basically going from 10 to 90%. Most people wouldn't charge all the way to 90% though. I mean, 80% is usually what people do when they go to
80% what you set it
chargers.
at. Yeah, just to extend the life of your battery a little bit.
Yeah, I heard Musk talking about this. He said it was like pulling into an empty parking lot when you're charging the car. And it said when you first pull into an empty parking lot, you could just zip in, park anywhere, and go in. But now look at the parking lot as being 80% full, and now you're trying to find a parking space. And so it said all the
Hmm.
new ions are coming in, and they're trying to find a parking space that's left open. And I thought, oh, that's kind of an interesting analogy.
Hmm.
Let's see, the EV6. Let's see, 14 minutes to get 100 miles, 26 minutes for a full charge. You know, it is also kind of interesting to look at this because I like looking at the part about the 14 minutes to add 100 miles because it gives us a little bit more apples to apples
It is,
here.
and I keep hearing nothing but good things about the Kias and their EV6s and their new models that are coming out. So seeing that they're getting this speed going up at the same time is fantastic. The charge speed, it seems like once you can enter in that market space and truly sell it as this is a commuter car. Look, it has this. It's performing well. It can charge fast. Its price point is great
Yeah.
comparatively. I mean, it's that might be the one.
So what have we got here? This is a Kia EV9. I think this is a new vehicle for 2024. That's a really pretty blue color.
Mhm.
Kia's got some really cool paint colors. They've got this gray that only seems to be something that they have that I think is the best looking gray I've seen on the market. Not that I'm a huge fan of gray, but yeah, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just it
yeah, it
has it
stands
has
out,
a has a
right? Yeah.
really good look to it. Let's see. Um, 14 minutes to add 100 miles, 38 minutes to charge 10 to 90%. But I think once again, we're probably getting into a bigger battery here. Um, let's see, 136 average kilowatt rate. Oh, it's only got a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack,
Hmm.
which is, pretty good size. It's not massive though for an SUV because we're going to get to some that have really
Yeah.
big batteries. Kia Niro. I've heard of this vehicle a few times. I don't know if I've ever seen them
Mhm.
tootling around. Oh God. What are we at now? Oh, the lowest average. So this is
It's-
this is lowest. So
yeah.
30 minutes to add 100 miles. Yeah, you need to charge this one at home. Um,
Mhm.
52 kilowatt hours. 64 kilowatt hour battery, 180-mile range. Let's see. It was what they got it going 75. 180 miles
Yeah.
going 75. Um, Yeah, well, the fastest EVs required under 20 minutes to add 150 miles. The Niro needed 53 minutes. Well,
That is interesting. Going up to that from 100 to 150, that was a big jump on that one.
oh yeah,
So kind of that analogy of you're on a curve. It's not a
no,
linear rate there.
no, that
Get those last little drops in there. It's taken a whole bunch of
that
time.
extra 50 miles almost. Say you went from 50 to 100, it was linear, right? It doubled,
Yeah.
right? And then you go to 53, it's like, oh, the next one, started going exponential.
Mhm.
Let me see. What is this one? This is the Kona electric. 30 minutes to add 100 miles. Damn. Some of these are getting slow. Um, oh, here's one. So the Lexus 2023 RZ450e Premium. All right. And is this all electric? I assume it must be all electric. Yes. Wow. 35 minutes to add 100 miles. Apparently, they didn't bother going to 150.
Yeah.
Even an hour wouldn't add 150 miles. Man, that is really not a good look for that Lexus, is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice looking car, but it's like, damn, you know, sometimes I think Toyota's intentionally screwing up the tech on electric cars. It really, I've commented on this before
Mm-hmm.
about how like the American cars, other than Ford, have generally opted to see how ugly we can make an EV, so it can make the gas car sell. It's like, well, you don't want that EV because, well, it's ugly. Yeah, you know,
It
it,
is. Some of them are just why. I mean, it look, maybe it's futuristic or what they're going for, but
it's
I
it's
don't know. I
definitely
don't know.
different. Um,
Yeah.
all right, second lowest average, the Nissan Leaf. You think about the Leaf is the first mass-produced EV sold in the U.S. and it's been around for 12
Mhm.
years or 13 years. Adding 50 miles or adding 100 miles took 45 minutes. I don't think you can add
I'm
150
not.
miles.
I don't know if I'm super surprised by the Leaf in that space. Just because I don't know if it's ever sold itself on that. It's a commuter car. It's plug in. It's a grocery getter. You go do this and that. You're not. I don't hear people talking about wanting to go take a Leaf on a multi-100-mile road trip. I'm sure people have done it, but it's really in that space there. It's kind of occupied the true, this is a metro. I need to get from point A to point B, in some of those spaces. I have a defined route I'm taking every day, whatever it might be. So, seeing that number lower, I don't know if that's what it's selling itself on. You can ramp this thing up for your cross country road trip.
And let me see. Here's the lowest average was the Chevy Bolt EUV. Let's see here. 44 minutes to add 100 miles. Yeah, this is another one you need to charge at home. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's a few cars that, like you're saying, they're designed to be commuters. They're not designed to be taken out of town, and they're great for what they're designed to be, which is a cheap vehicle to drive back and forth around the
Yeah.
city.
Yep. I mean, even look at the picture on that one. I mean, it looks tight. I'm 6'1". I think I've heard you say before you're 6'3", maybe, and I see that picture and I feel my knees squeezing up against the steering wheel
So one of
in a
my
car like that.
friends he's 6'5" and has a Bolt, and it's really
Really?
his wife's car, and she's a physician.
Okay.
Okay, but he was able to comfortably get in and drive it. It has a really high roof. Now, the EUV is supposed to be even a little taller, but he's not in the EUV. He's in the regular. And I thought the roof was really quite high on it compared to, most cars. Now, here's some other twists on this. Shortest charge time, 24 minutes. We kind of talked about, that
Yeah.
was to add 150 miles. This was to go 10 to 90%. All
Yeah.
right. Here's the longest charge time. The Hummer EV, 129 minutes. Man, 170 kilowatt hour
Oh
battery.
yeah. I mean, that's a
Wow.
beast. Yeah. I'm not super surprised, but
If you were using that with bidirectional on your house and you
Mhm.
were charging the house from that, I don't even know, 170 kilowatts, that would power your house for like what,
Week.
10 days?
Yeah. I mean,
You
you
know,
could you could last a long time on that if you were careful about it, and you
yeah.
didn't run everything you possibly could, and watched around. Yes, you could power your house on that for you could ride through a hurricane with something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. For people with bidirectional charging and solar, and they want to store all that solar, this is
Mhm.
the vehicle right there. So store it all in there. But
It's a
that's
big
that's
battery
kind of
pack
nuts.
on wheels. Yeah.
But that's still 36 minutes to add 100 miles. Um, I don't know what the range is on this, but that's
Yeah, I
pretty
thought I
big.
wanted to say they had a huge range on it, but with that much weight, who knows?
Okay, so the Lucid Air Grand Touring, I think, is the highest range sedan made. Okay, and this is the highest peak. Could get up to 305 kilowatts, but the average is 76. But look at this. Time to add 100 miles. Oh, look at this. 50 miles was 6, but 100 miles was 7, and 150 was 12.
Wow.
Yeah, but it had, so they only went 410 miles at 75, but it's
Mhm.
rated as a 520-mile range
The
car.
I'm trying to think of how big the Tesla Level 3 chargers are. If you could even find a charger. I was thinking they tapped out around 250 kW, but I'd
Yeah,
have to go look. If you could even find a charger with enough oomph to get up to that fast speed.
yeah, they're coming out. I know Electrify America has some that'll do 500,
Oh wow.
but there's no cars yet made that can hit that. But it was just like they just started bringing some of those charging stations online like in the past 2 weeks. So that was something new. I think they were
Mhm.
testing them out in Georgia. Um, Lowest peak, Nissan Leaf. But anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting because that's you know,
That's a really neat one for me. And my background's in engineering and power,
mhm,
and you see this and you see the tables and level one charger, level two charger, level three. Here's their speed. Here's how many miles you can get and everything. And those are just equations. This is a theoretical. How much power can you transfer at this, and what does it look like? But to see it, they go through the motion, and somebody actually test this out in real world of where's the bottleneck? Where's the bottleneck in this vehicle that's going to slow that down? Here's your maximum that you're going to be able to get out of this. Here's where they're at, and especially some of those models were a couple years old. So it's here's some of those differences in technology and where we sit. So to see people actually starting to test that, like, well, here's what it really looks like with these vehicles, not just the theoretical limits and what you can do with it, and putting it out like that to give people the real perspective. That's really interesting to see.
so we were talking a little bit about how some of them intentionally try to make ugly cars. I think Chevy may be doing something right here. They're making a new Blazer EV,
Mhm.
and that doesn't look bad at all.
Doesn't look
That's
bad at
nice.
all.
That's a nice looking SUV. It's got a nice look to it. I expect if this was black with the blacked out rims, that would.
That would be real sharp. Yeah.
Oh, I'm clicking the buttons too fast.
I like it. That's what we need. We need a nice looking car that just happens to be an EV, not a spaceship out there.
Well, now people like the spaceship looking stuff.
Some of them do, but to get some of the high levels of penetration folks are talking about. I mean, we just look like a car. I want a car that just
One of
happens to
the
be an EV.
things I've talked to some people that have ordered Cybertrucks. None of them have ever owned a pickup truck before, and none of them
Really?
really were ordering it because it was a truck. They just wanted it because it was a Tesla,
Yeah, yeah.
and because it just, you know, people know
I mean,
it's
I'll
unique.
give those a break. I mean, those are so unique. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
just so different. I can see some of the appeal, but some of these that look like a big Tylenol, or something like that. It's ooh, get some more sharper curves on that.
I had one more quick thing I was going to show. This is kind of because Kia seems to be making a lot of inroads in the EV space in the United States. And this one, the EV9 that we were showing, is going to get
Mhm.
some free charging from Electrify America. It's 1,000 kilowatt hours of complimentary charging in the first 3 years. I thought, that's pretty
That's cool.
decent. They're not doing the unlimited. I've heard stories of people leaving their car parked for like an hour or something, so they get every last little bit of electricity from the free
Mhm.
charger and stuff like that. And this will have people do more
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
responsible
probably
charging.
gives you 10 to 15 free charges on them, and it's not it's you know it's nice. It's a nice incentive, but hopefully it's just out there to build the habit with people. I get free
Yeah,
anyway. Might as well go check it out.
yeah. Well, I think part of it is, for the average user, they're only going to use a public charging station a couple times a year.
Mhm.
you know, for a typical user, maybe if they go on a trip somewhere, they're not going to use it when they're just around town.
It
Anyways,
is. I've used it just for the novelty of it. It's like, I'm going to go try it. You know what? I get, the other reason I've used it, it's great parking. A couple of times it's right up front, EV parking only. All right, I'll take it.
nice, nice. You charge while you're in the grocery store.
Mhm.
It is nice how a lot of the charging stations, the public ones, are at grocery stores.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, that gives you something to go do while you're there, right? I
Mhm.
don't know, it's hard to fathom going to like a Quick Trip or a Wawa or something like that and charging and just hanging out at the convenience store for 30,
Yeah.
45 minutes.
Mhm.
But the grocery store, makes a little bit more sense. You get in there, take care of some things, and get
Yep.
back out. And I'm sure that's why they like having those right where they're at. Anyways, that was all we had for today. A good show. I thought
Yeah.
that was kind of an interesting change up. And I will see you next week. And for everybody listening in, thanks for tuning in. And please comment if there's something you'd like to see in the future. And like and subscribe if so we'll keep creating some more. Thanks. Thank you so